All right, let's look at an example of a Gaussian elimination. All right, so we have a system of equations. Actually, there are three equations, two unknowns. We're going to turn this into a matrix. All right, so you have just picking out those coefficients on the right hand side. So you have a 2, -1, and the right hand side is 0. All right, so you have a 3 and +2, and right hand side is 7. And you have a 1, -1, and you have a -1. All right, so what we want to do is we want to have a 1 in this position. So we want to turn this into 1. All right, there are a couple ways to do it. Actually, there are more. We can divide the first row by 2. That's good, and that will create some fractions. So I would like to avoid that. But the good thing is there is 1 sitting here. So why not just exchange rows? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take row 1 and row 3. I'm going to swap them, right? So this is going to be, all right, so we have a new matrix. All right, so the third row becomes the first row, 1, -1, -1. All right, second row stays the same, 3, 2, 7. All right, then first row becomes the third row, so you have a 2, -1, 0. All right, so now we have 1 there. All right, then what we want to do is we're going to turn everyone else in that column into 0. So we want to turn this into 0. And we want to turn this guy into 0. All right? So easiest way is, so 1 is row 1. So you have a row 1. All right? You're going to multiply the number you want to turn it into, multiply by the negative of the number you want to get rid of. So I want to get rid of 3. So I'm going to multiply by -3. Right? Then add it to that row, which is row 2. So that's going to be our new row 2. Right? And so let's go ahead and do that first. All right? So we haven't changed the first row. So row 1 stays the same. 1, -1, -1. Right? So we multiply 1 by -3, add it to 3. So you're going to have 0, which is what we wanted. Right? So -1 times -3 is +3, add it to 2, so you're going to get 5. All right, then you have a -1 times -3, +3, added to 7, so you get 10. All right, so now we want to turn 2 into 0. So we're going to take row 1, right, multiply by negative of the number you want to get rid of, so multiply by -2, then add it to row 3. So that's going to be our new row 3. All right, so 1 times -2 added to 2, which is 0. That's what we wanted. -1 times -2, 2 added to -1 is +1. All right, -1 times -2, +2 added to 0 is 2. All right, so we got that. All right, so we are done with the first row, and the next would be you look for the you go to the second row and look for the first non-zero element, which is 5. So we want to turn that into 1. So we want to turn this guy into 1. All right. So this is going to give you, so in order to turn that into 1, easiest way would be take row 2 and divide by 5. All right. So that's going to be row 2. All right. So that's going to give us a new matrix, which looks like this. Right, no change on the first row, stays the same. And the third row stays the same. And here, row 2 is divided by 5. 0 divided by 5 is still 0. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. All right, so now we got 1 here. All right, then you have to turn everyone else in that column into 0. So we want that guy to be 0, and we want this guy to be 0, right? So do the same trick. So 1 is sitting on row 2, and what you do is multiply this by the negative of the number you want to get rid of, in this case -1, so it's going to be +1, and you want to add it to, you can put +1 if you want, add it to row 1. That's going to be our new row 1. All right, so let's do that. All right, so since we're not changing the second row, I'm going to just copy the second row, 0, 1, 2. All right, then we add 0 to 1, so it's going to be still 1. 1 to -1, 0, which is what we wanted. 2 added to -1 is +1. All right, and then we have to turn the 1 in the third row into 0. So what we can do is take row 2, multiply by -1, then add it to row 3. That's going to be our new row 3. All right, so you can see that this is going to be, all right, so this times -1 added to 0, still 0. 1 times -1 added to 1 is 0. All right, 2 times -1, -2 added to 2, so it's 0. All right, then we are finished. All right, and once you get to that point, we actually know the solution here. All right, so first column corresponds to the coefficient of x. So if you rewrite the first row into equation, so 1x plus 0y is equal to 1, right? Which is x equals 1. Right? 0x plus 1y is equal to 2. Right? And the bottom row just says 0 equals 0, so there's nothing wrong with that, but it does not really give you any other information. All right, so therefore, the solution is x comma y is equal to 1 comma 2. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.